Hey, Eagle Run 23 here. I've got a comment this morning. I'll read it to you here. Looking to purchase this as my first gun. I'm not a first-time shooter, but I'm not a pro either. I've never owned a gun. Would you recommend this as a reliable family protection, occasional target practice out of the box? Or would you say that the upgrades you've made make it more reliable? I can't wait to sit down and clean and explore the ins and outs. So, I've actually had 2 or 3 people ask me for recommendations on firearms recently, and I've found that recommending a firearm is a very difficult thing to do, to just say, hey, you'll like this gun. There's so many personal preferences and nuances with firearms that make them unique and that make them different to different people. I really like this gun. It's of course, it's a Taurus PT111. This is the G2 and 9mm. The stippling on the grip is great. Love the grip. It's a compact firearm, but it's not too small. When you add the little grip extender there on the magazines, it makes it very comfortable in your hand. One of the things I found when you're making recommendations on firearms is that it's just very difficult to say, hey, you'll love this or you won't love this. Now, in this gun, I've upgraded the recoil spring. This is from Lakeline LLC, and it is a all steel upgrade. The one that I have that came factory with it was parts of it on the middle were plastic, and you find that the spring wants to kind of jump here. And so this is an upgrade. You have to put it together and Loctite it in and everything. I did all that. There's a video on that. But this upgrade maybe makes it more reliable. But for the average shooter who's just going to shoot, occasionally at the range and use it for family protection, I would definitely recommend this gun. I got it for $199. And for $199, I just feel like there's a great value here. I have no problem spending money on quality, but I'm also very value conscious, and I like finding value in things. I've mentioned before, I am not a gun collector. I do not collect guns. Every gun that I have has a place, and it has a job that it has to do, and I think that a lot of people lose sight of the purposes of their guns. For $400 or $500, you could probably get what a lot of people would consider a nicer gun, but I don't know that you're going to do any better from a quality standpoint than this Taurus PT111. So there's definitely a cool factor when you're talking about guns, and I think that a lot of times that cool factor can make you make a decision one way or another that maybe you wouldn't have made based on it's cool and will it impress my buddies. This Taurus PT111, it's cool. It's a black polymer firearm, and in that regard it looks like a bunch of other black polymer firearms. It also, I like about this gun is it has a manual safety, and I think that maybe for someone who isn't as super comfortable would appreciate a manual safety. This gun has that, and that's a feature that I definitely like on this firearm. Maybe if this is your first gun, I think this would be a great first gun. This gun also, I've done a couple of upgrades to it, which I think help. It has night sights on it. I did a video on that. These are Trigicon night sights that I also got from Lakeline LLC, and I think they really add a lot to the gun. So there's 2 kinds of cool, and one of them is performance cool. And the performance part of cool is, you know, does it perform and does it meet your expectations and does it do what it's intended to do? And judging this gun on that first kind of cool is pretty easy to do. The performance is great. I've got coming up on 1,000 rounds through this gun. It's something that I carry. I carry it frequently. I also always have it with me. It's in my truck if it's not on my hip, and I found it to be very reliable. I have shot both brass through it, and I've shot a bunch of the Tulamo. It is dirty, as you can see, but I enjoy kind of cleaning my guns and making sure I'm familiar with them. So the first kind of cool being performance. I think the performance is there. I'm going to factor a little bit of reliability into that performance, and just say this gun has been entirely reliable to me. I have zero doubt that if it were called upon, it would perform. So that part of the cool factor is definitely there. It has the features that I like. I like the way that it breaks down. I like just the way that it was designed. It seems very well put together and very well made. There's you can see I have some wear here on my barrel, but it's because I've used it. And I've seen somebody who has this gun that they use in some shooting matches, and they've run this gun hard, and they have way more rounds through theirs than I do through mine, and they're shooting this gun competitively. Now, I'll say that the factory sights on it are not really very good, and I was happy to put these night sights on because even in the daytime, it's a better sight picture than what you get from the factory one, and that's a simple thing that you can upgrade and do, but it's not necessary, but it is a good upgrade to do. The second kind of cool is it cool just because it's cool, and that's where this gun is gonna maybe leave a little bit to be desired for some people. It's not a flashy manufacturer. It's made by Taurus. Taurus makes good guns, but it's not a gun that you would pull out and show your buddy and they're going to be like, that is a really cool gun. This gun is not that gun. So if you need to impress your buddies with a cool gun, then you're maybe going to be happier with a SIG or a Glock or even a Smith & Wesson M&P. Smith & Wesson is a famous manufacturer that's made cool guns for a lot of years, and it definitely has a good cool factor to it. So you have to figure out, what are you actually looking for in a gun? Are you looking for, just straight up performance and reliability? Are you looking for maybe a little bit of wow factor with your buddies? So I think those things are important. There's nothing wrong with having a cool gun just because it's cool. And there's a lot of really cool guns out there. For the money, if you were going back to that aspect of it, for the money, I think that I would be happier with 2 of these guns than I would have spent the same amount of money on just 1 gun. So if I've got $200 to spend, I think this is a great buy. If I have a little bit more to spend and you're only going to buy 1 gun, well, an M&P or a Glock or something in the 550 range, that might be a good option for you. For the system of use that I'm going to use a firearm for, I think that having 2 of one might be a better idea. If you have 2 of these, then you could have one as a concealed carry, have one in your vehicle, and then the other one could be used as a home defense gun, and that way you've spent $400 and you have 2 firearms that fill 2 really big needs in most people's systems. This is really dirty in here. I don't normally have to do this, but we're gonna really get this barrel clean in here. So this barrel is really dirty. I've swabbed it several times. I ran quite a bit of solvent down there, and looks like it's going the right direction now. So the other person that I recommended a gun to was a female who was looking for something smaller. She has a SIG 938 in 9mm, and she said it was printing too much on her and she wanted something smaller, and that's really a hard one. That's a situation where you're looking for something pretty specific, because that SIG 938 is actually pretty small already, and if it's not small enough to hide on you if you're a female wearing a dress or something, then you're going to have to go to a much smaller, less capable caliber than the 9mm that thing shoots. I think is important, and don't lose sight of why you're buying the gun. And again, if you're buying a gun just because it's cool, that is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Just make sure that you're aware that when it comes time for the performance of that gun, that you are judging it correctly. The first gun that I bought was a Springfield Armory 1911 subcompact, of course in 45, and I bought that for the second kind of cool, which ended up being the wrong reason. I thought at the time that I wanted to carry it, and so I thought that I would want the Ultra Compact, I realized that that gun was not really a gun for me, and I still have it. I've contemplated selling it about a dozen times. It's still valuable, and it still, of course, has its value. I wouldn't really lose much on it. That gun I kind of bought for the wrong reason, and right now it doesn't really fill a need in any of my system because it's a 45 caliber, which is not a caliber that I stock. It's also not a caliber that I shoot. Kind of an expensive caliber to shoot. So the 45 caliber is not something that I plan on having in the future, and thusly it's not a gun that really fits a system for me. So I appreciate the comment. I'm glad that he asked, and I hope that my comment back to him can shed some light on a couple things that might help him make a decision for his first firearm and for a gun that he's going to use to protect his family. Without question, I can definitely recommend this gun. Don't buy it just because it's cool. Buy it because it fits a need in your system, and it's something that is compatible maybe with your other platforms. Several guns take the same magazines, and that's something that is interesting because that allows you to have a lot of compatibility with their guns in your system. So anyway, that's my recommendation. I wholeheartedly recommend the Taurus PT111 G2. I would like to get another one of these actually, and as soon as they go on sale again, I probably will. I made a whole video on how many guns you need, and I recommend you check that out. Maybe I got it wrong for you, but for me, I'm a fan of having guns that fill needs in different positions. The enjoyability factor needs to make sure that it meets with the fill the need factor of why you have a gun for protection in the first place. So, all right, this is Eagle Run 23. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.